I've just made a list of the top 10 strangest mushrooms/fungi because mushrooms are just insane, whether it's glowing mushrooms or mushrooms that take over the body of insects. So, let's start. Number 1 is going to be the craziest and strangest mushroom I've heard of, and number 10 is going to be the least strange of the top 10 strangest. So, number 10 is red amanitas. This mushroom is so cemented in the public eye as being a mushroom because it's the classic mushroom with a red top and white spots on it. The cool thing about it is it's poisonous and extremely hallucinogenic. So if you eat it, you're probably going to have some weird hallucinations, which is possibly why in the Smurfs, Gargamel is trying to kill the Smurfs because he's trying to eat them in certain versions of the Smurfs, and they live in red amanita houses, basically. What if he's actually just hallucinating? What if the entire Smurfs premise is just Gargamel hallucinating? There's another possible theory with red amanitas that they caused the myth of Baba Yaga, but that's a topic for a completely different video. Number 9. Pinellus stypticus, or the bitter oyster, is a mushroom that it is literally a glowing mushroom. It's the one I mentioned and showed a picture of in the video. Not many people know why Pinellus stypticus creates it's bioluminescent. There's a lot of different theories on it. Whatever it is, it just looks really cool the way it's bioluminescent, especially since it has that greenish glow that just makes it so cool. Number 8. This isn't technically a species of mushroom. It's a specific mushroom. It's a mushroom that is over it's over 110 feet long, which when you think about that, that is enormous. You might be wondering how a mushroom that enormous could exist. Well, it's actually surprisingly simple. Pretend you go outside right now and find a mushroom that's about the size of your hand. It's probably bigger than your whole body because mushrooms have roots-ish, kind of like trees. They're technically not roots. They are called mycelium. The mycelium spread throughout the ground. They actually connect to the roots of trees, helping send basically messages. So basically, mushrooms are like the phones of the forest world. But yeah, mycelium are giant. It basically allows that mushroom to become absolutely enormous. It is so big, so crazy. And number 7, the shaky mane. This is another pretty common mushroom. Most people wouldn't include it on this list, but I think it deserves a spot on here because of the fact that it can produce an insane amount of ink. It's kind of like ink, but it's actually a liquid containing their spores that is black and has the consistency of a bit gloopy water, and it can stain your hands. It's non-poisonous. You've probably seen them before in your garden or in your lawn somewhere. They're surprisingly common, but yeah. Number 6, strawberries and cream. It's a really weird mushroom, mainly because of the fact that it looks kind of like strawberries and cream. Most people describe it as looking like a pastry with strawberry jam dots on top. I can't really see how it's a pastry. It looks much too white and gummy to be a pastry, but the strawberry jam, yeah, that fits. Number 5. the rounded earth star. This one looks really cool. It's a kind of mushroom called a puffball or a spore ball, which means it's basically just a big ball of spores. And if you don't know, I've mentioned spores a bunch. They're basically the baby mushrooms or like mushroom eggs. It's kind of hard to describe them, but they're like powder that new mushrooms grow out of. Puffballs are one of the only mushrooms where it's actually kind of good that if you find them to crush them to bits, because whenever you smash them, they shoot out baby mushrooms. So if you want more to grow and you want a really satisfying video of it just puffing into spores, then crush them. But yeah, the rounded earth star, I just think it's really strange because of the design, and puffballs are always really strange. Number 4, the death angel. This one is like one of the most poisonous mushrooms in the world. There's some other poisonous ones, but this is a mushroom that is so poisonous, and its name just set like if it's literally called a death angel. That sounds like something that's probably going to kill you if you eat it. But yes, it will kill you if you eat it, so do not eat it. And then Number 3, the devil's finger. This one is really, really unusual. It literally looks like a demonic hand is coming and crawling its way out of the surface of the earth. It also is coated by a black gel that smells like rotting flesh. So even more things that make it seem demonic or gross. And the other cool thing is every time I look at it, I just can't stop thinking that it looks like the Spider-Man villain called Carnage, because they look really similar. Number 2, the rotting tooth. People named it because it looks kind of like a deformed bleeding tooth that's just been stuck in the ground, which that one it's closely related to the berries and cream, or the strawberries and cream one I mentioned earlier. This one I think gets its own spot because it looks a bit different, and it is also crazy. The cool thing about the bleeding tooth, or the rotting tooth, the bleeding tooth is another name, which I think actually fits a bit more, is that it's technically edible, but most people who have eaten them have said that they are so disgusting that they're basically inedible. Number 1, cordyceps. It's an extremely, actually kind of scary fungus, because what it does is its spores will land on usually ants, and then they will infect the ant, basically killing it, but taking control of its body, forcing it to basically go onto the top of a tree, plant itself down on the tree, and then the fungus will start to crawl out of its body and and then a giant, basically tube of mycelium will come out the top of their head and start releasing more spores into the air. And those spores then will fall onto more ants or other insects. Which also, I'm kind of glad that can't happen to like mammals or birds or literally anything else than insects. But yeah, their cordyceps are freaky because of how scary they are. But yeah, thanks for watching. This has been my list of top 10 strangest mushrooms. There are some really strange mushrooms in the world, which also if you like mushrooms, you definitely should check out like everything you can find about mushrooms, because it seems like every single time I Google up or try and research strange mushrooms, there's just more I've never heard of. So yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good day and goodbye.